Hello and welcome to PrimePRO. In this video, we'll take you through the candidate online registration process via PrimePRO's candidate portal. This will inevitably help speed up your recruitment process by pushing out a lot of the work to the candidate to fill in rather than your consultant spending time keying a lot of data themselves. So for this to work, all your candidates will of course require an email address, because a link will be sent to the candidate by email for them to create their username and password and profile on the candidate portal. You'll be pleased to know that the registration can actually be completed via their smartphone. So if they come into the office to register, you can simply send them the email and then they can register sat there using their smartphone. They can also use a tablet and a PC, obviously anywhere where they have an internet connection and a browser for them to fulfill the registration online. But before they can fill in any details, they have to accept your GDPR privacy policy and indeed any other policies that you wish to put into place at point of registration. So as part of their registration process, after initially completing their primary details, they'll be asked to obviously select their particular skills, and if you've attached any qualifications to those in PrimePRO, they'll be requested to add those as well to back up their particular skills, and also uploading any document attachments as part of the registration process. Of course, any rights to work that you've configured in the system, as well as any category questionnaires. Category questionnaires are complete sets of user-definable fields that you can create under each sector that you operate in as a recruitment business. And these questions obviously can be asked of them at point of filling in their registration form. So again, a great way to offer the flexibility to cover all aspects of their registration online for them to do it themselves. Please do note that only some of the data can be changed by the candidates at a later stage by logging into their portal. Other data is protected and will require obviously the candidate to contact the agency to change those things, for example, their bank details. So the first part of the process is in PrimePRO, where you come to the candidates page here, and then to invite a candidate through the portal, you click the Invite Candidate Through Portal button here. This will open the following window where you're asked to input 4 pieces of information, which basically is their name, email address, and of course their mobile number. Then click Save. This will trigger the system to automatically send them an email with a link to register on the candidate portal. Do remember to ask them to check their spam folder, because sometimes the emails can go in their spam folder. In order to see who you've sent the invitations to, simply select the status Invite Sent and then click Search. This will then draw the list only showing the invite sent candidates. This allows you to chase them up, find out where they are with their application process, why they haven't completed it online as yet. It could be because the email address is wrong. So click the edit button as shown here and change their email address. Or it could be that their link has actually expired. A simple answer to that would be to click the resend button here as highlighted. This will send them a new link for them to re-register via that link. So when they receive their email, as displayed here, they can simply click the register button here or link in the email. This will take them to the login page of PrimePRO, where they can input their username, password, and click Next. Upon registering onto the system and logging in, they're asked your GDPR privacy policy and indeed any other policy here. They'll have to scroll down to the bottom of the page before the yes and no options will appear. In this instance, I've clicked the no where it pops up this message here, where it indicates to the candidate that they cannot register any further until they've got their acceptance of the GDPR and any other policies that you've put in there. They get a second chance to accept, which will take them to the next stage. If they reject this, they're then taken back to the login page. So I've accepted this in this scenario, and I'm now taken into this page here where it's asking me to enter my details below for registration. You'll notice that the names and any of the other 4 details that I've initially captured are already pre-populated. As the candidate scrolls through the registration form of the primary details, you'll notice that there are some asterisks against some of the fields. These denote that they're mandatory and require the candidate to fill these in before they can move on to the next stage. If the candidate doesn't have an NI number, if they were to select no, then the NI number box disappears. Then your recruiter could chase them at a later stage for their NI number, if for a genuine reason they don't have one. Next, we come on to completing the primary details option, where they've filled in all of the page here. And then they go on to the next stage, which is skills and qualifications, after clicking save and next. Here, there will be shown a list of all your categories that you've set up in PrimePRO. I've got 2 examples here of driving and industrial. The candidate would simply select one of these, where they'll be taken to another page displaying the skills under the said category. So here we have 2 driving skills that I've set up under driving. You'll also notice that there are 3 qualifications required for this particular skill here, class 1. And the status is currently saying qualifications required. So if you've set up any qualifications against any particular skills, the workflow goes from category, so in this case driving, they've selected driving, to the skills that sit beneath driving, this case class 1 driver, and then within class 1 driver I have associated to that skill 3 qualifications, and they're shown here. So the candidate is automatically taken to this 3rd stage after selecting the category. So the candidate is required to, at this point, fill in the C&E license, the DigiCard and the driver's CPC, and they can simply click the plus button here. If they choose not to complete these, it won't stop them registering. So they could have simply selected the category or the skill and then click Save and Next here to continue to the next stage of the registration process. But the idea here is that we're trying to encourage them to fill these items in to save us time, obviously inputting them on their behalf. When they click the plus button, the next screen will show us a pop-up where it's activated the phone's camera for them to take a picture of the qualification, or they can go to their files and gallery to obtain an existing copy where they've saved on their phone. Here is where they also update the expiry date of the said qualification, choose the file, which will obviously launch this option here, and then they click Save. The process is repeated in this case 3 times until they've completed inputting all their qualifications, if they so wish. Of course, save and next will take them to the next process, or they can go back a stage to add more qualifications, or back further to obviously the categories to select other categories if they feel they need to add other skill sets to their record. So this screen now shows all of the rights to work, all of the qualifications, should I say, completed. And then they click Save and Next. Next is the rights to work. So they're now taken to the rights to work section, moving from skills and qualifications. So these rights to work are your rights to work that you configured in the software, much in the same way as your categories, skills and qualifications that you've set earlier in this video. So the candidate can simply click Edit here, and it opens up the next screen again to upload an attached file, as I've done so here, where it shows the download option. They've also added the expiry date as well of the right to work requirement, in this case a passport. Next we come on to category questionnaires. So these are questions that you set in your registration form that are relevant to the category, i.e. sector. So for example, if they've selected a driving skill, then of course the driving questionnaire will appear for them to complete. If they've selected a construction questionnaire, then the construction questionnaire will appear, or indeed any other sector, industrial, catering, hospitality, care, whatever the sector is. So in my case, I have selected for this candidate 2 particular category skills, and it's showing me 2 sets of questionnaires, one for driving and one for industrial, where I click the update link here, which then opens up that particular questionnaire for me to complete. Types of questions that you can ask can be whatever you like, and the actual field type can be multi-select, drop-down list, text. It can be all sorts, date field, file upload, as with the next screen here. So in this one, we've got the compliance questionnaire for driving, and they have to choose a file to upload these particular ones here. So it makes it very flexible and configurable to deal with multiple scenarios of candidate registration, where you have to capture all sorts of bits and pieces of information, and makes it much easier for the consultants and recruiters, obviously managing the process because they're pushing it out to the candidate to do. So now we come to the last part of the candidate online registration process. So as you can see here, I've completed all of the questionnaires. And finally, they click Save and Complete. This will thank them for registering, and that you would be in contact with them to take it further. And finally, they can log out. The next stage of the process is back in PrimePRO. And once the candidate has completed their online registration, they're held in a quarantine area that we call awaiting approval. And to access this area, you simply select the waiting approval status option here and click search. The list will show all the candidates that have effectively completed their registrations online. So they've moved from the invite sent status to the awaiting approval status. But they cannot work whilst being under this status. They're held, as I say, in this quarantine area until, of course, they've been approved. To view their record and check the information that they've inputted, simply click the name here. If you wish to approve them, click the awaiting approval link here, and it will take you into their records primary details. where you'll notice at the bottom of that page is a button called Save and Approve, where you simply click here. This will move them into the active status, where you can simply place them in work from now on. Thank you for watching.